Hey guys, imagine this. You're 200 feet underwater. It's pitch black. The air smells like oil, piss, and someone else's breath. And there's a pressure outside your hull that could turn your bones to jelly. You're not walking. There's no room to walk. You're not sleeping, not really. You're breathing recycled farts through a stale metal straw. And somewhere out there, a destroyer is listening, waiting for you to make just one mistake, one sound, one breath too loud. Then it's over. This isn't a video game. This isn't a museum tour. This is a World War II submarine. This is your home now. If you want more stories like this, give it a like and hit subscribe. It helps us keep making them. Now close your eyes. You're not in your bed anymore. You're standing in a steel coffin. And it just started to dive. 1. Welcome aboard the underworld. You duck your head, step over the lip of the hatch and drop into the boat. Not a ship. The ship floats. This thing dives. It smells immediately, like oil and rust and breath. Like someone tried to cook eggs on an engine block. Like it's been alive too long with too many men and no open windows. The hatch clangs shut above you, louder than you expect. It locks with a metallic finality that says no turning back. Your boots land on steel grating. Underneath it, batteries. Acid-filled monsters the size of coffins, quietly hissing in the dark. If they leak, you suffocate, slowly, internally, from the lungs out. You try not to think about that. You will. Later. The passage is tight. Shoulders scrape. Your bag catches on a valve. Someone curses behind you. You move forward. You can only go forward. The hallway is not a hallway. It's a pipe. A pressurized crawl space filled with wires, valves, grease, and the heavy breath of men who've been here too long. A crewman brushes past. You're not sure how. You think he turned sideways, but honestly, he might have phased through the wall. He smells like sweat and diesel. His shirt is soaked. He doesn't notice. You count bunks as you pass. 4 high, stacked like corpses, each with a curtain for privacy that doesn't exist. You'll be sharing a bed with someone. Not at the same time, but close enough. Hot bunking, they call it. One guy sleeps, another works, then they switch. Same mattress, same stink. The sheets never go cold. The engine room is a low red-lit hell. Valves hissing. Gauges flickering. Men moving like ghosts, faces slick with sweat, backs hunched like evolution reversed. The air is hot, already, and you haven't even dived yet. Someone hands you a mug of coffee. You sip. It tastes like it was brewed in a radiator. You drink it anyway. Because hydration is a memory now. The cook waves from the galley. He's got 4 square feet and a stove bolted to the wall. He's chopping onions with the casual calm of a man who's made breakfast in the middle of depth charge attacks. There's a sausage link hanging from the ceiling. It's not for eating. It's storage. Everything hangs. You ask where the toilet is. They laugh. Then they point to a hatch barely wider than your shoulders. Inside, a steel bowl, some pipes, and a sign that says, "Flush wrong, die quick." They're not joking. You've entered a world where water is the enemy, inside and out. You duck through another bulkhead, this one tighter than the last. You bang your elbow, hard. You hiss through your teeth. No one notices. Pain is private here. The radio room glows like a dying star. Green light, static. The operator leans in, whispering to a headset like it's a lover. He doesn't look up, doesn't blink. You wonder how long he's been listening. You wonder what he's heard. The control room is ahead, the heart of the boat. Dials, levers, red tags hanging like flags at half-mast. The helmsman stands between two brass wheels, sweating. The XO barks a course adjustment. Someone nods. Everything is a nod here. No time for yes. No room for sir. Just motion. Just function. You don't salute in a submarine. There's no space for ceremony. You pass the torpedo room. 6 tubes, all loaded. Each one the size of a grown man. Sleeping giants with explosive teeth. They smell like grease and cold metal. You feel your chest tighten. One of the crew sees your face. He smiles. You get used to it, he says. Then he adds, unless you don't. You reach the crew quarters, such as they are. Bunks, pipes, steam. A man snoring beneath a pin-up girl taped to a locker. Another scribbling a letter. Another just staring. Eyes open, mind elsewhere. You sit, or try to. You wedge yourself between 2 pipes and a bag of potatoes. That's your seat, for now. The boat shudders, engines shifting. The hull groans. A voice over the speaker. Prepare to dive. Someone next to you crosses himself. Someone else laughs. You grip a pipe and brace. There's no countdown, no dramatic music. Just the sound of the ballast tanks flooding, the hiss of compressed air, and then motion. Not down, not exactly. It's more like the world tilting, like the ocean is pulling the breath out of your lungs. The pressure builds. Your ears pop. Your spine curls. The lights flicker. Your heartbeat doesn't. You are now inside a machine built for war. Under the sea. No windows. No exits. No promises. You close your eyes and hear it. Water. So much water. Pressing. Waiting. Listening. And you realize something. You didn't board a submarine. You boarded your own grave. 2 dive orders say goodbye to the sun. There's no ceremony, no trumpet, no goodbye moment. Just the word, dive. And everything shifts. You feel it before you see it. The way your stomach pulls. The way the lights flicker. The way the hull tightens like it's holding its breath. You look up through the hatch one last time, but it's already sealed. Sunlight? Gone. The sky? Gone. The world? Gone. You are now in the underworld, and it's closing in fast. The angle tilts, not steep but definite, like someone nudged the floor just enough to make you question gravity. Loose items slide, coffee spills, a wrench rolls across the deck with a metal clatter no one reacts to. The boat sinks, not fast, not slow, controlled, intentional, like a predator descending into the deep. You hear the ballast tanks draining, air escaping, water rushing in, a hiss, a roar, a groan, all layered into a sound you will never forget. The hull creaks, not constantly, just occasionally, like it's thinking about cracking, like it's waiting for permission. Someone says 100 feet. Another replies, holding trim. You don't know what trim means yet, but it sounds important. The control room is calm. Too calm. Men flick switches and call out numbers like they're reciting a grocery list. Everything here is routine, except for your pulse. That's chaos. Fast, uneven, loud in your ears. You wonder if they can hear it. Someone offers you gum. You stare. He shrugs. For your ears, he says, pressure equalization. You take it, chew it, your jaw pops, your skull vibrates. The pressure wraps around you like wet wool. Heavy, uncomfortable, unforgiving. You reach 200 feet, then 250. You hear a thud, maybe a valve, maybe something more important. You don't ask. Asking implies worry, and worry is contagious. You keep your mouth shut and your eyes forward. That's how you survive down here. The noise settles into a rhythm. Engines, pumps, breathing. Occasionally someone coughs. You realise you're part of the soundscape now. A living rattle in a dying machine. Then it gets quiet. Not silent, never silent, but softer. Engine hum fades, voices drop. The boat hits depth and levels out. Silent running. You've heard the term. Now you live it. No talking, no slamming, no metal on metal. Just whispers. Just careful steps. Just the kind of silence that feels like being hunted. You look at the hull. You can't see through it, but you feel what's out there. Tons of water. Crushing. Watching. Waiting. A crewman walks past you barefoot. You ask why. He whispers, too loud otherwise. You nod, start unlacing your boots. Noise is death now. Someone sets down a wrench. Very slowly, as if it's a sleeping baby, wrapped in dynamite. You pass the torpedo room again. The men inside are playing cards, not because they want to, because there's nothing else to do. They play without speaking. The click of shuffling is louder than conversation. You duck into your berth. More like a drawer. No window, no space. Just fabric, metal and stale air. There's condensation on the ceiling. Tiny droplets collecting like sweat. One drops onto your forehead. You wipe it off with a sleeve that smells like salt and fatigue. Your chest feels tight. Not from fear, from depth. The ocean is pressing on the hull. The hull is pressing on you. You breathe shallow, like taking too much air would wake the sea gods. A junior officer leans down beside your bunk. Get used to it, he whispers. Then adds, you've got 56 days to go. You stare at him. Surely that's a joke. It's not. 2 months, underwater, in a steel drum. With 70 men and no sunlight, your nose itches, you scratch it. Then realise, that smell, it's you now. Diesel, grease, sweat. You're soaking in it. You're marinating in your own decline. Someone farts. No one reacts. There's no escape. The submarine is airtight, which means every mistake, every smell, every breath it stays. Circulated. Filtered. But never gone. You hear the captain's voice through the tubes. Calm, firm. Maintain depth. Begin patrol grid. Someone replies with coordinates. You don't recognise the numbers, but you know what they mean. You're not coming back up for a while. You try to lie still, but your body's rebelling. Too warm, too cramped, too aware of the hundreds of feet of ocean pressing down on you like a coffin lid. Your hand brushes the bulkhead. It's damp. With what? Condensation? Oil? Blood? You don't ask. You wipe it on your pants. A bell chimes softly. Midnight shift. Someone climbs into your bunk before your body heat even leaves it. You climb out, floating between sleep and terror. You grab a rag, wipe your face. Look around. You're submerged in darkness. You're wrapped in steel. You're one pin drop away from never seeing the surface again. And the worst part, you're only 8 hours in. 3. A steel tube filled with sweat. You wake up sweating. Not the kind from nightmares. The kind your body makes when it realizes there's no air left to cool it. Your bunk curtain sticks to your skin like damp laundry. You push it aside and sit up or try to. There's no room. Your head hits a pipe. Your knee hits the guy climbing in to take your place. Sorry, he mumbles. You don't answer. You just slide out, barefoot, and into the hallway. It's not really a hallway. It's a pipeline, a steel artery filled with flesh and fabric and heat. The kind of heat that doesn't care what time it is. The kind that settles into your bones and makes your sweat. The temperature on board? High 30s, maybe more. Humidity? Don't ask. The air isn't air anymore. It's soup. You shuffle past the engine room. Wrong move. The heat hits you like opening a furnace door with your face. You choke, cough, gag. Someone inside is shirtless, covered in grime, hammering a valve with a wrench. He looks at you like you're soft. Maybe you are. You stumble into the galley. More heat. Someone's boiling something. It smells like socks and regret. You ask what it is. Stew, he says. You don't ask what kind. You already know. The kind that tastes like metal and feels like guilt. You lean against the bulkhead. It's sweating too. Condensation everywhere. Beads of water rolling down steel like the boat is crying. Someone hands you a mug. You thank them, then realise it's coffee. Hot. You want to throw it against the wall, but you drink it. Because it's liquid, and even hot liquid is better than nothing. Your shirt clings to your back. Your pants feel like you've been swimming in them. Your socks? Forget about your socks. You'll peel them off your feet in chunks later. You duck into the washroom. It's not really a room. Just a corner with a sink, a mirror, and two kinds of mould. You splash water on your face. Cold, brief, beautiful. You consider drinking it. Then remember it's probably recycled. You stare into the mirror. Bad idea. Your eyes look sunken. Your lips cracked. You've been underwater for 28 hours. You look like it's been 28 days. Someone knocks behind you. You step aside. He nods. That's the entire conversation. In the forward compartment, someone's passed out. Right on the floor. No one steps around him. They just step over him. That's the etiquette here. Sleep when you can, wherever you can, even if it's next to the torpedo tubes. You head to the battery deck. Hotter. Always hotter. The batteries don't like to be disturbed. They hum with low, angry electricity. They smell like poison. You hold your breath. There's a fan spinning overhead, wobbling, squeaking, doing absolutely nothing. You watch it for a while. Just for the illusion of movement, the guy next to you has taken off his shirt. His ribs show. He scratches his chest absently. You notice his skin is red. Not sunburn, just heat. Raw, baked flesh from existing in this oven too long. He looks at you. First time? You nod. He grins. Don't worry, you'll stop sweating eventually. Then he adds, of course, by then you're probably dead. You try to laugh, but your throat is dry, and your body's already too busy trying not to melt. The captain walks by. Perfect uniform, dry collar. You wonder if he sweats at all. Probably has his own fan. Or a deal with the devil. He says nothing. Just nods. Everyone nods down here. Words take oxygen. Nods don't. You head back towards your bunk. Two guys are arguing. Something about socks. You don't get involved. Not because you don't care. Because the air is too thick to waste on yelling. You climb into your rack. Again. Shirt off. Eyes closed. Skin on metal. It's hot. It's wet. It's miserable. And you think, how am I sweating this much and still thirsty? Someone coughs. Someone else swears. You hear a creak in the hull. Deep. Slow. Like the ocean testing the walls. Your eyes stay closed. but your mind's awake, very awake, counting minutes, counting drops of sweat, counting all the ways this tube could become a tomb. Eventually the sweat cools. You don't. You just lie there, soaked, sticky, and suddenly very aware that the only real breeze in this place comes from the sound of your own breath. 4. The air tastes like metal. You wake up gagging, not loudly. There's no room for drama here. Just a quiet, involuntary cough that drags itself up from the bottom of your lungs like something unwanted. You sit up, immediately regret it. The air, it's thick, not just humid, not just stale. It's wrong. You take a breath. It tastes like rust, like copper, like something sharp left out in the rain. There's oxygen in it. Probably, but you can't be sure. It smells like battery acid, sweat, grease, something organic, something not quite alive anymore. You rub your tongue against your teeth. They feel like they've been coated in aluminum foil. Your throat scratches with every swallow. You cough again, a dry, useless sound. No one turns around. You grab a rag and wipe your face. It comes away damp, brown. You try not to think about why. The ventilation system hisses above you. A slow metallic sigh, barely moving the air, like a dying man trying to blow out a birthday candle. Someone next to you lights a cigarette, because that's what the crew does when the air gets bad. They make it worse. The smoke curls like a snake through a room already choking. You wave it away. Too late. It's in your clothes now, in your eyes, in your lungs. He offers you one. You shake your head. He shrugs. Suit yourself. You look up at the ceiling. Condensation beads twitch. One drops on your face. You wipe it off. Not water. Too sticky. Too warm. You ask the engine tech what's going on. He snorts. CO2's climbing. You ask how bad. He shrugs. Not good. You want a number. He gives you a look instead. It says, "We'll let you know when it's time to panic." You pass a crewman who's pale, sweating hard, breathing shallow. He sits with his back against the bulkhead, eyes closed, lips moving like he's arguing with someone who isn't there. You ask if he's okay. He says, "I can taste the bolts," and then he laughs. Too loud. Too long. You keep moving. The mess table smells like soup. Not real soup. Just hot water and powder stirred together until the colour says edible. It steams into the air and joins the atmosphere like it's trying to join the fight against your lungs. You sit. Try to eat. Can't. You chew. But every bite tastes like metal. Because everything tastes like metal. Even your spoon. Even your own spit. You try to breathe through your mouth. It doesn't help. The air's no better there. Someone mentions oxygen scrubbers. Someone else mutters something about lithium hydroxide canisters. You nod like you understand. You don't. You just know the numbers are going up. The ones you can't see. The ones that mean carbon dioxide. Heat. Acid in your lungs. You try to count your breaths. Keep them slow. Even. Quiet. It doesn't work. The guy across from you is twitching, blowing air through his lips like a horse. His knuckles are white on his cup. The captain walks through. Calm. Cool. He's not sweating. You hate him for it. He says, "Hold depth. Rotate the scrubbers." Then he vanishes into the control room like the ocean doesn't scare him. You head that way. Anything to get moving. anything to not sit and think. Inside, the sonar man is chewing gum. Hard, like the air betrayed him personally. You look at the dials. They don't mean much to you. Needles, gauges, pressure readings. A whole language in red and black. But one thing stands out. A red zone, and the needles flirting with it. Like a drunk stumbling toward the edge of a rooftop. You ask what happens if it crosses. He doesn't answer. Just keeps chewing. You look up. Try to imagine the surface. The sky. Fresh air. Wind. Clouds. But it's just steel. A foot above your head. And 200 feet above that. Pressure. If the boat surfaced right now, it'd still take 10 minutes to reach real air. 10 minutes too long. You walk back. Pass a bunk. Someone sleeping. Or unconscious. Hard to tell. His mouth is open. His chest barely rising. You press your palm to the hull. Cold. Hard. Unmoving. It's a wall. And also a grave. You breathe in. Feel it scrape your throat. You breathe out. Watch it swirl in front of your face. The lights flicker. You don't flinch. You're past flinching. The air is still thick, still warm, still metallic. And you realize you're not choking because the air is bad. You're choking because you finally noticed. 5. Sleeping in shifts, dreaming in fear. You don't sleep. You borrow sleep. In fragments, in minutes. In between shifts, explosions, whispers. It's your turn in the rack. Top bunk. Right next to a steam pipe that hisses like it's mad at you. The mattress is thin, more like a pad, and it's damp. Always damp. You don't ask why. You climb in. Or try to. There's no ladder. Just grips and instinct. You wedge yourself in sideways, back arched, knees bent. No turning over. No stretching out. You're still sweating. But it's a different kind now. Nervous. Clammy. The kind that comes from trying to rest in a steel coffin. The bunk still smells like the guy before you. His soap. His socks. His skin. And under all that, the smell of something else. Something older. Fear, maybe. You pull the curtain shut. That's supposed to help. Privacy, they say. It doesn't, because every sound bleeds through. Every cough, every creak, every footstep across steel grating. You try to slow your breathing, match the rhythm of the pipes, let the boat rock you to sleep. But the boat doesn't rock. Not here. Not at depth. It just floats. Heavy. Still. Waiting. Someone walks past. Boots off. Bare feet slapping metal. You count the steps like they're sheep. 14. Then silence. You start to drift. Almost. Until the boat moans. Not loudly. Just a groan. Low. Deep. Like the hull is having second thoughts about holding together. You open your eyes. Stare at nothing. The ceiling's 8 inches from your face. You can see every rivet, every drop of condensation, every shadow that doesn't quite look like it belongs. You blink. Try again. Your mind slips sideways. Memories. Home. A fan in your room. A dog barking outside. Cold air. Real air. But then a dream. Not a dream. A panic. You're underwater. Of course. But the boat is flooding. You can feel it. Rising. Cold around your ankles. Then your knees. Then your chest. You gasp and wake up. Still in your rack. Still dry. Still alive. You wipe your face. More sweat. Less sure now what's real and what's not. The lights outside your curtain flicker. Someone yells. Not loud. Just enough to set off the alarm in your brain. You sit up too fast. Hit your head. Swear under your breath. You pull back the curtain. The hallway is empty. Just the usual haze of heat and fatigue. You check your watch. If it's even working. You've been asleep for 23 minutes. That's your shift. You swing your legs over the side. Boots on. Shirt damp. Body stiff. The guy below you grunts. Climbs in without a word. Takes your heat. Your sweat. Your place. You nod at each other like ghosts passing in a graveyard. The rack still moves. Just a little. As he settles in. As he starts his own dream. Probably the same one. You start walking. Because that's what you do now. Sleep, wake, work, repeat. It's always someone's shift. Always someone's turn to try not to die. In the control room, the night watch is quiet. Red lights, stale air. Men whispering over dials. You take your place. Hands on the controls. Eyes on nothing. You're exhausted. You're wired. You're half awake, half asleep, half somewhere else. And all you can think is this. If sleep is supposed to be rest, why does it feel like drowning? 6. Pressure doesn't knock, it crushes. You're sitting in the control room, listening to everything and nothing. The boat is quiet now. Too quiet. No footsteps. No muttering. Just the hum of systems you barely understand, and the occasional groan of a hull under stress. You try not to notice the sound, but it notices you. A long, slow creak like bones twisting, then a sharp pop like a knuckle cracking underwater. It doesn't stop you cold. Nothing does anymore. But your eyes flick toward the bulkhead, and you think about what's on the other side. Water. Tons of it. Pushing. Always pushing. A weight so heavy it doesn't punch. It squeezes. At 300 feet, you're not supposed to be comfortable. You're supposed to be quiet. Disciplined. Prepared. You're none of those things. You're barely upright. The captain glances at the pressure gauge. The needle twitches. He doesn't react. That's what scares you most. Someone behind you mutters, "She's holding." He's talking about the hull. Like it's a person. Like it's trying. But the truth? Steel doesn't hold out of loyalty. It holds until it doesn't. You run your hand along the interior wall. It's warm, sweating. Alive in the worst way. The deeper you go, the tighter everything gets. The bolts groan. The seams whisper. The rivets flex. You can feel the pressure in your teeth. You rub your jaw. Pain. Not sharp, just there. Like the ocean is pressing a finger against your molars, saying, "Remember me." You try to think about something else. Anything else. Food. Home. The girl who kissed you before you left. You can't remember her name. Just the shape of her hand on your chest. Another groan. Closer this time. Like the boat's spine is shifting. Someone says, "We're at crush depth -30. You do the math. Then stop. Because numbers don't help when you're thinking about implosion. You've seen the diagrams, the pressure curves. You know how fast it happens. One crack, one leak. And it's not flooding, it's instant death. No warning, no mercy. Just pop. You don't drown. You're flattened. turned into mist before your brain even finishes panicking. You swallow hard. The air tastes like sweat and battery fumes. Again. The mechanic walks by, carrying a wrench the size of your arm. He looks tired. Grease smeared across his cheek like war paint. He taps a pipe gently, listens. Then he nods. To himself. That's it. That's the whole maintenance check. A pipe. A wrench. A guess. You close your eyes. Try to imagine being back on land. Grass. Sky. The kind of pressure that comes from bills and bad weather. Not the kind that wants to crush your skull like an egg. Trim is off, someone says. The boat tilts. Subtle. Enough to make your stomach slide a few inches left. They adjust tanks. Dump some water. Shift some air. All of it choreographed. All of it urgent. None of it comforting. You grab a railing as the floor tilts again. You're weightless for a second. Just long enough to feel how close you are to floating into the abyss. The lights flicker. Not a full blackout. Just enough to say, I could. A bolt above your head pings. Tiny, but clear. Like a tuning fork for doom. You look up. The ceiling doesn't leak. Not yet. But the rivet is sweating. You whisper to no one. Just hold. Not to yourself. To the boat. Because down here you talk to the metal. You beg the pressure to wait a little longer. You pray the welds stay loyal. You hope the steel forgives the men inside it. The captain checks the depth again. No reaction. Just another glance. Then he reaches for the periscope. We'll level out at 320, he says. Like he's ordering lunch. Someone swears under their breath. Someone else mutters, she's never gone that deep. No one argues. The air grows heavier. So does the silence. You stare at the pressure gauge. You can't help it. The needle twitches again. A little deeper. A little darker. A little closer to never coming back up. You reach for your lucky charm. You don't believe in luck. You just need something to hold. And in that moment, you finally understand. Pressure doesn't knock. It presses. Until you break. 7. Death charges and death wishes. You hear it before you feel it. A faint thump. Somewhere above. Muffled, distant. Like God dropping furniture upstairs. Then another. Louder. Closer. Someone stops mid-sentence. Eyes flick upward. No one speaks. Then boom. The boat lurches. Lights flicker. Dust drifts from the ceiling like the boat is shaking off a bad dream. Depth charge. First of many. You brace against a pipe. Your stomach flips. Your spine locks. No alarm. No countdown. Just a new reality. You're being hunted. The control room comes alive. Not loud, not fast. Just tight. Intent. Like a heartbeat caught in a fist. Bearing 295. Hydrophone active. Silent running. You already knew that last part. Everyone freezes. No talking. No movement. No breathing if you can help it. Even the engine's cut. The hum stops. And what's left is worse. Silence. True silence. The kind that hurts your ears. The kind that begs to be broken. Another charge hits. Closer. The hull rings. A long, low groan like the ocean testing the hinges. You imagine the destroyer above. Huge. Cold. Pacing back and forth listening for your heartbeat. Dropping death like breadcrumbs. The sonar man has his headphones on. Eyes closed. Body still. He raises a hand. Ping. Just one word. Just one syllable. But it makes your skin crawl. That means they're using active sonar. They're not guessing anymore. They're looking. And you're glowing. Another depth charge. Boom. This one feels close enough to take your teeth out. The hull flexes. The lights cut out. Total black. You think, this is it. You wait for the sound of water, rushing, filling, ending. But it doesn't come. Not yet. Red lights blink back on. Emergency mode. Everyone's faces look ghostly, sweaty, terrified, but disciplined. No screaming, no panic. Just tight jaws and locked knees. A valve bursts somewhere aft. Steam hisses into the corridor. Someone runs to it. Barefoot. Silent. Because noise means death. Another boom. Metal shudders. Your ears ring. You bite your lip. Hard. It helps. The XO whispers, "They're triangulating." You don't ask what that means. You already know. They're narrowing in, listening to every rivet, every creak, every vibration from your stupid beating heart. Someone drops a wrench. It clatters. Everyone freezes. You hear it echo down the hallway like a scream in church. The sonar man opens his eyes, looks at the ceiling. Brace. And then boom, the floor jumps. Steam bursts from a pipe to your left. The gauge next to you cracks. You don't move. You can't. Because part of you is paralyzed. And part of you doesn't want to move. Because if you die here, it's over. Simple. Done. No more watching numbers climb. No more breathing someone else's sweat. No more pretending sleep is coming back. You realize in that exact second you're not afraid anymore. You're tired. And if it comes, if the hull rips, if the water surges, and so be it, you wouldn't scream. You wouldn't fight. You just exhale and let go. But it doesn't happen. The next depth charge never comes. Minutes pass. 5. 10. The silence stretches. The crew starts moving again. Cautious. Slow. Like animals after a thunderclap. The captain's voice comes over the intercom. Hold depth. Continue silent running. Like nothing happened. Like you didn't almost die 4 times in 12 minutes. Someone near you starts laughing. Soft. Bitter. Too quiet to be called hysteria, but close. You think about joining him. Instead, you sit down, back against the bulkhead, hands on your knees, trying to remember what it felt like to believe you'd survive this patrol. The sonar guy pulls off his headset, whispers. They're moving off. The whole room exhales, soft, collective, but not relief. Never that. Just postponement. You close your eyes, feel your pulse in your fingertips. Try to slow your breathing. And you realize something that shouldn't comfort you but kind of does. Depth charges aren't the scariest part. The scariest part is when they stop. Because that means the next one might be the last one. You never hear. 8. Claustrophobia is a crew member. You try to stretch. Bad idea. There's no room for it. Your elbow hits a bulkhead. Your knee bumps someone's ribs. The pipe above you is sweating. So are you. You're in a hallway, if you can call it that. It's less of a hallway and more of a suggestion. 2 feet wide, 4 feet high, every inch claimed by wires, bolts, and things that hiss when you brush them. You twist sideways to let someone pass. You both turn your shoulders. You both exhale. You still don't fit. Your hips grind together. Your gear scrapes. He mutters, "Sorry." You grunt. That's the etiquette. You keep walking. Low ceiling. Pipes overhead. Cables underfoot. Valves where your face should be. You duck. Again. You've been ducking for 6 hours. Your neck hates you. Your spine's on strike. The only thing upright in this boat is the pressure. You crawl through a hatch. Not walk, not step. Crawl, one knee, one hand, through a gap barely big enough for your regrets. You bang your shin, your shoulder, your forehead, again, again, again. Someone else is inside already, lying in his bunk, eyes open. He doesn't blink. You don't say hi. He doesn't respond anyway. There are 70 men on this boat. You see all of them, all the time, every hour, every day. There's no escape from them, or from you. You know the sound of each person's cough, their footsteps, their farts, their dreams. The guy in the top rack hums in his sleep. Always the same tune. It used to be annoying. Now it's just part of the soundtrack. You haven't seen the sky in 3 days. Or maybe 4. You're not sure anymore. Time doesn't pass here. It loops. You eat. You work. You sleep. You sweat. Repeat. You haven't been alone in weeks. And somehow you've never felt more trapped inside your own head. You wipe your face. Smell your hand. Regret it instantly. There's no such thing as fresh air here. Only less worse air. You duck into the aft compartment. Find a quiet corner, or what passes for one. You sit. Tuck your knees in. Wrap your arms around them. And for a minute, you pretend you're somewhere else. Anywhere else. But even in your imagination, the walls are close. The air is thick, and the steel creaks like it's watching you. You hear breathing. Not your own. Someone behind you. Too close. Too inside your space. But there's no your space here. Just our space. All of it. None of it. You stand. Immediately regret it. You slam your head on a pipe. Again. Someone laughs. Not cruel, just exhausted. You laugh too, because what else is there? You try to go forward. Blocked. Someone's fixing a valve. You go back. Also blocked. Now you're in a metal sausage casing, between 2 sweaty men, with nowhere to go and nothing to say. You swallow. Your throat is tight. You try to breathe slowly. But the air's warm, moist, used. You feel the panic bubble up, not sudden, slow, creeping, like the water just found a crack in the hull. You tell yourself you're fine, you're trained, you're capable, you're okay. You're not. You push through a hatch, find a different spot, sit, alone, almost. You stare at the curved wall. Press your palm against it. It's vibrating. Faintly. Like it's alive. Like it's whispering. You don't belong here. And it's right. You don't. People aren't meant to live like this. Inside tubes. Without air. Without light. Without space. You close your eyes. Not to rest. To forget. But all you see is the same damn hallway, and a steel door that won't open, and you realise claustrophobia isn't a feeling. It's a passenger. It breathes your air. sleeps in your bunk, walks the halls with bare feet, and it knows your name. 9. You share everything. Even panic. There's no privacy here. Not for anything. Not for sleep. Not for sweat. Not even for fear. You share it all. Bunks. Air. Stories. Smells. Even toothbrushes if it comes to that. And now you're sharing panic. Not the loud kind. Not the screaming kind. This kind travels quiet. Invisible. Contagious. You feel it in the way someone stops moving. In the way they stare too long at the floor. Or the ceiling. Or nothing. The guy across from you hasn't blinked in 5 minutes. He's not working yet. Sleeping, no. Not there exactly. You ask if he's okay. He nods. Too fast. Too tight. That's worse than no answer. You've seen it before. He's cracking. Not from fear. From accumulation. Weight without warning. Nerves built on nerves. You look around. Everyone's showing symptoms. One guy's rubbing the same coin between his fingers, over and over. Not lucky anymore, just necessary. Another's tearing paper into strips. You don't ask where he found paper. You just watch the pile grow. The cook spilled soup earlier. He dropped the ladle. And just stared. Like it was the last thing holding his world together. No one helped. Not because they didn't care. Because they couldn't. Helping means opening up. Means admitting you're only one bad breath away from breaking too. The mechanic snapped at the exo during night watch. Out of nowhere. Just, why don't you fix it then? Everyone froze. Even the engines. The exo didn't yell back. He just stared. Then walked off. That's how you know it's serious. Not when people fight. When they stop talking altogether. You head toward the bow. Need to move. Need to feel like you're not melting into your own skin. The torpedo room's cooler. Quieter. Men sleep there lined up beside warheads. One guy snores. Another mumbles in his dreams. You sit next to tube 4. It hums. You hum back. Someone says, "She's overdue." You look. The sonar guy. Knees tucked. Shaking. You ask what he means. He says, "The destroyer. Should have passed by now. She's waiting." You say nothing. Because maybe he's right. Or maybe his nerves snapped before yours. Either way, you're not qualified to argue. You just nod. Because panic feeds on contradiction. And down here, facts don't matter. Only tone. You notice the smell again. Different now. Sweeter. Rotting sweet. Like spoiled fruit and engine oil. It's coming from the stern. Battery vent, probably. Or something worse. Something sick. You ask someone. He shrugs. We'll deal with it later. That's the answer for everything now. Later. Even if you know, there might not be one. Someone in the galley starts crying. Quiet. Private. You recognize the sound, not sobbing. Just that shaking inhale, like someone trying to pull their lungs back in through their nose. No one moves. No one comforts. Not because they don't care. Because they're scared it's contagious. You head back to your rack. Claps in. Pull the curtain. You hear it again. The crying. The mumbling. The shuffling. It's not one guy. It's all of them. Everyone's trying to hold it together. With gum. With prayer. With jokes that don't land. And you? You're chewing your nails. Breathing slow. Counting bolts in the ceiling. Trying not to imagine how many turns it would take before the pressure peeled this place open like a can of soup. Someone mutters, "I want out." Another replies, "There's no out." You close your eyes, pretend you're alone. Pretend you're in a room with space and air and a door. But you're not. You're in a floating tin can with 70 men and 70 slowly fracturing minds. You all share the same air, the same fear, the same pressure. And now, you share something else. That quiet voice inside your head, the one that says, "I don't think I can do this much longer." Yeah. That voice, everyone hears it. 10, the smell of diesel and death through. You wake up with it in your nose. Not air. Not exactly. Something thicker, heavier. Something that clings to your lungs like guilt. It's diesel. Old diesel. Burned and reburned. Filtered and cycled and lived in. You breathe it. You taste it. You become it. The smell is always here. But some days it announces itself. Like today. You pull your shirt over your nose. Doesn't help. The fabric's already soaked with it. You get up, feet on the floor, which is also warm, also greasy, also soaked. You shuffle toward the galley, not hungry. You just need to move, to do something that feels like life. Someone hands you coffee. You thank them. You drink. It tastes like fuel. Everything does now, even water. The mechanic walks past. His hands are black. So is his face. He looks like he crawled out of the engine itself. He wipes his forehead with his sleeve. Now the sleeve is black too. You ask if something's wrong. He says, "Just burp the lines, minor backflow." Then he grins. His teeth look like they've been chewing on coal. You smile back. Even though you have no idea what that means, you just assume minor means not fatal yet. You sit. The smell follows. Sits beside you like a heavy uncle. Uninvited. Permanent. You look down. Your hands. Your fingernails. Black rings of grime that no scrubbing will ever fully erase. You used to be clean. Fresh air. Soap. Showers. Now you're a human oil filter. Someone coughs behind you. A wet one. Thick. Like they're trying to exhale tar. You turn to check. He waves you off. "Just the stink," he says. But his eyes look yellow. His skin waxy. You think about infections. You think about lungs. You think about how hard it would be to breathe diesel into the afterlife. The XO opens the hatch to the engine room. Bad move. The smell slams into the galley. Like a wave. Hot. Sour. Full of ghosts. It's not just diesel. It's everything. Burned wires. Melted insulation. Rotten grease. And something else. Something animal. You wrinkle your nose. You look around. No one else reacts. You ask someone, "What's that smell?" He shrugs. "What smell?" That's when you realise they don't notice anymore. Because the smell has won. It's not just here. It's you. It's in your skin, your clothes, your memory. You could be pulled from this boat right now, dropped into a field 1,000 miles away, and a dog would still sniff your boots to and say, "Submariner." There's another stench too. Quieter, more subtle. Death. Not a body. Not yet. But something sick. Something that doesn't want to live here anymore. Maybe it's the batteries. Maybe it's mould. Maybe it's just the smell of men on the edge of themselves. The medical officer opens a locker. Pulls out a bottle. Unmarked. He sniffs it. winces, closes it again. You ask what it was. He says, "Not medicine anymore," and walks away. The hallway feels tighter today, the heat heavier, every smell doubling back on itself in the recycled air. You can't open a window. You can't flush it out. You just endure. You sit next to the intake duct. Try to imagine it's fresh. Pretend the hiss is wind. Pretend the air isn't shared. But even your imagination is sweating diesel now. Even your dreams smell like burnt rubber. You think about the men who've died on submarines, all the boats that never came back, all the final breaths taken as in diesel thick air, in silence, in pressure, in stink. And you realise something. No one ever really talks about the smell. Not in the movies, not in the history books. But down here, it's the first thing that finds you, the last thing that leaves you. And when you do finally walk back onto land, if you make it, you'll carry it. In your clothes, in your skin, in your soul. The smell of diesel, the smell of war, the smell of almost dying every hour for weeks. And when someone hugs you, if they do, they'll wrinkle their nose and oppressor and say, "God, what is that?" And you'll say, "Survival." 11. You don't shower. You don't want to. You think about it all the time. A shower. Not warm, not luxurious. Just wet. Just clean. But down here, there is no clean. Only less filthy. You haven't showered in days. Maybe weeks. You've stopped counting. So has everyone else. Your skin feels tight, slick, layered with sweat, grease, and the thin film of recycled air. You can feel it between your fingers, under your arms, behind your knees. Every crease on your body filled with evidence that hygiene is a luxury you left on shore. There's a shower, technically, but it's a pipe, a drain, and a lie. You've seen it. A rusty hose coiled in a corner, hanging like an afterthought. One knob, no pressure, no heat, no privacy. And water? That's rationed. You don't waste it on skin. You drink it if you're lucky. You once asked about soap. Someone laughed. They called it nostalgia. You settle for what everyone else does. A rag, a wipe. If you're lucky, a splash of cold water and a prayer it hasn't already passed through 4 other men's pores. The guy in the bunk above you keeps a jar of powder. Not deodorant, just talc. Keeps the chafing down. Sometimes he shares. Sometimes not. You don't blame him. Your socks haven't been dry in 3 days. You've changed shirts once. Pants? Never. There's no laundry. No linen service. If it stinks, it stinks. You learn to live with it. You have to. Because if you started scrubbing now, you'd never stop. You'd scrub through your skin, past your bones, trying to find the version of yourself that didn't reek like war. But here's the strange part. After a while, you stop noticing. Not the smell, not entirely, but the urgency, the panic that once told you, you're disgusting. It fades. Buried under fatigue, overwritten by survival. You're still aware of it, sure. Every now and then you catch a whiff of your own armpit and think, Jesus. But then someone passes by, smelling worse, and you feel better, stronger, more tolerable. That's what it is now. Not hygiene, not pride. Just a spectrum of stink. A scoreboard of who's hit bottom. The medic walks by with a bottle of alcohol, not for cleaning, for disinfecting wounds. He pours some on his hands, lets it evaporate. You stare. That smell, that sharp, sterile cleanness, and it almost makes you cry. You want to rub your face in it, bathe in it, drink it. Instead, you turn away, because it reminds you of a world you don't live in anymore. A world with hot water, soap, shampoo, towels. You reach up and touch your scalp. Your hair's oily, heavy. Feels like it's been dipped in machine grease. Someone near the battery deck is growing a rash. Back of the neck. Red, itchy. Could be heat. Could be bacteria. Could be the boat itself rejecting him. The cook's hands are raw. He uses the same pot for every meal. Same ladle. Same dishwater. You eat anyway. What choice do you have? You once saw a guy try to wash his feet. Used a cup of water and a rag. Spent 10 minutes trying to dry them with his breath. Didn't help. His bunkmate kicked him in the middle of the night. Said his feet smelled worse wet. Now he sleeps with his boots on. You close your eyes. Try to remember what a shower used to feel like. Not a flash of water. A real one. Tiles under your feet. Steam rising. Clean running off you in streaks. A towel waiting. But it's no use. The memory's gone fuzzy. Like a dream you only half remember. Now you'd give anything for 10 seconds of pressure from a garden hose. Cold, dirty, doesn't matter. Just not this. You tell yourself it doesn't matter. That stink is just another kind of camouflage. That smelling human is optional when you're this deep in hell. But deep down, you know it does. You're not just dirty. You're wearing war. Layer by layer. Soaked into your skin. And when this patrol ends, if it ends, you'll still carry it. People hug you, smile, say, "Welcome back." And behind their eyes, they'll think, "What the hell is that smell?" And you'll know. It's not the submarine, not diesel, not the ocean. It's you, and it's never coming out. 12. When the boat goes quiet, everyone listens. It starts with a gesture. A single hand, palm flat, slicing the air. Silent running. No alarm. No announcement. Just that motion. And suddenly the boat stops being a boat and becomes a tomb that hasn't realized it yet. The engine dies. The hum disappears. The air itself goes still, like it's trying not to breathe either. You don't move. No one moves. It's not just about discipline. It's about survival. The boat doesn't creak for you. It creaks for them. The destroyers. The sonar. The ears above dragging death through the sea like bait. You step lightly, only when you have to. Barefoot. Socks if you're lucky. Boots stay off, far too loud. A fork clinked too hard last week. That's all it took. 4 charges dropped. 1 crewman broke 2 ribs from the shock. You're not going to be that guy. You lean against the bulkhead. Even your breathing adjusts, slower, shallower, like you're trying to take up less space in the world. Voices drop to whispers, then to eye contact, then just silence. You've never noticed how loud blinking is until now. The air gets heavier, not because the fans are off, though they are, because attention has weight, and everyone's giving it to the hull, to the water, to the sonar man, who's listening for death through a headset that might as well be connected to your nerves. He doesn't speak, just holds up fingers. 1, 2, 3 pings, surface ships, destroyers. You feel your pulse behind your eyes. You shift slightly. A valve squeaks under your boot. Too loud. You freeze. So does the man across from you. He just stares. Not angry. Not scared. Just waiting. Like if you move again, it might be your fault when this place folds in on itself. You mouth sorry. He nods. One slow blink. Forgiven. For now. You sit down, carefully. The metal is cold, hard, unforgiving. You press your palms to your knees. Try not to think about how close the pressure is outside. Try not to imagine 400 feet of seawater pushing in on you like a fist around a light bulb. You close your eyes and listen to the hull, to the slow drip of condensation, to the faint buzz of power cycling through wires older than your father. Every sound means something. A groan, that's the hull flexing. A pop could be heat or stress. A rattle could be a man or not a man anymore. You hear a breath catch beside you, one of the younger guys, eyes wide, knees pulled to his chest. You tap him gently. A warning. Don't lose it. Not here. Not now. His lips moving. No sound. He's praying. Not sure to what. Doesn't matter. You pray too, even if it's just a prayer that no one else panics. Because once panic starts, it spreads faster than pressure cracks. And you can't patch a man's mind with a wrench. You glance toward the sonar operator. He's still listening. Still breathing slow. Still holding fingers in the air. Now it's just one. The closest one. He counts seconds between pings. 3, 2, 1. Then silence. They're right above you. Your hand curls around a pipe. You feel the vibrations. The destroyer's screw, churning the sea with purpose. Looking for you. You think about making noise. Just to end it. Just to stop waiting. But you don't. Because no one wants to be the one who opens the door for death. So you sit. And you listen. Not to music. Not to stories. To your own thoughts, echoing off the steel like whispers from the deep. You think about the surface. About sun, wind, space. And for a second, you wonder if it's even real anymore. Or just a memory stitched together by your brain to keep from snapping in half. Then a flicker. The sonar guy blinks, lowers his hand. Moving off, he whispers. The silence doesn't end. Not right away. It fades. Like someone slowly turning the volume knob back toward life. You exhale. So does everyone else. But no one talks. Because silence here isn't just safety. It's ritual. It's sacred. It's the sound of being allowed to continue existing. You rub your eyes. Your fingertips are shaking. You didn't notice until now. The mechanic nearby finally speaks. His voice is low, raspy, almost reverent. Silence saved us. You nod, because it's true. But deep down you know one day the silence will end the wrong way. And when it does, no one will be left to hear it. 13. The periscope lies. They say you'll get used to the dark, that your eyes will adjust, that your brain will fill in the blanks, that the steel around you will stop feeling like a threat. They're wrong. You never get used to it. You just get familiar with being trapped. And then one day the captain says, "Prepare to come to periscope depth." It's like someone whispered the word miracle. You're rising. Slowly. Not too fast, the pressure would crush your lungs. Not too slow, the batteries won't hold forever. The boat creaks as it climbs, a slow metal exhale, like it's been holding its breath for days. You grip a railing, feel your own weight shift, just slightly, just enough to know you're not sinking anymore. At least, not yet. And then, silence. The final meters take forever, because this is the moment they'll be listening for. Sonar. Props. Periscopes breaching the surface like the tip of a spear. The boat levels out. The captain steps up. You watch him from the shadows. The periscope rises with a hiss. A slow, vertical whisper, like something alive escaping its hole. He grips the handles, leans in, rotates slowly, clockwise, then counter. No one talks. You can't see what he sees. Only his eyes. Scanning. Reading. Deciding. You wonder what the sky looks like. Is it blue? Grey? Full of clouds? Birds? Does it even exist anymore? Or was that just something invented to keep sailors sane? You haven't seen daylight in weeks. You try to remember what sun felt like on your skin. You can't. Just a vague warmth from a different life. The captain says nothing, keeps watching, face unreadable. You imagine what's out there, an enemy ship, a destroyer, another periscope looking back at you. Or maybe nothing at all. Maybe it's just endless water. Miles and miles of grey sea. That doesn't care what you want to see. Finally, he speaks. Clear. And then, you get your turn. You're not supposed to, but the captain steps aside. Just for a second. You step up. Eyes pressed to the rubber ring. And there it is. The surface. Grey. Waves. No land in sight. The horizon's flat like the world forgot to have edges. Wind ripples across the water, but you can't hear it. The glass keeps it silent, like watching a painting that refuses to move. You scan slowly, right, left. Hold your breath. And just for a second you think you see something. A seagull. White wings. Alone. You blink. It's gone. You look again. Nothing. Was it real? Or just your brain projecting hope? The periscope lies sometimes. You know that now. Because when your world is made of steel and shadows, even light can't be trusted. It shows you what you want to see. Not what's there. You pull back. Step aside. Someone else steps up. You sit on a nearby bench, eyes closed, trying to preserve the image. Sky, waves, bird, trying to decide if it was memory or madness. You touch your cheek, still cold from the scope, still real. But in a place where even water has a temperature of pressure, you stop trusting your senses. One day, the captain might see smoke on the horizon. Call a course change, order weapons armed, and maybe it's a freighter, or maybe it's just the ghost of a convoy from 3 patrols ago. Either way, you'll follow the command, because the periscope is law. Even when it lies, back at your station, someone whispers, "Did you see the sun?" You nod. Yeah? He smiles, then asks, "What colour was it?" You open your mouth, close it again. You don't remember, and neither does he. But that's the thing about hope down here. It doesn't need to be true. It just needs to survive long enough to carry you through one more shift. 14 letters from home. You'll never answer. They pass them out like rations. Envelopes. Smudged. Folded. Some soft from too many hands. Your name's on one. You stare at it for a long time. The handwriting's familiar. Curved letters. A little rushed. Probably written at a kitchen table that still smells like coffee and soap. You run your thumb along the edge. Feel the paper. It feels like another world. The guy next to you tears his open. Reads fast. Smiles. Then tucks it into his shirt like a secret weapon. Someone else doesn't even look at theirs. Just slides it into their locker like it's a grenade with the pin pulled. You get it. Because once you read it, you're there. Not here. Not in the steel box. Not 200 feet below a war. You're at home. Or whatever your version of it is. Grass. Wind. Voices that don't echo off rivets. You finally open it. Inside, your mother's handwriting. You see her face in the curves of every O. She says she's proud. Says the garden's blooming. Says the dog still waits at the door. There's a drawing. Your little sister. Stick figures. A submarine that looks more like a fish with windows. It's perfect. And it hurts. You fold the letter slowly, carefully, like you're folding a wound, something to contain. You want to reply. You want to write back. I'm okay. I miss you. Tell Dad I'm trying to stay sharp. But you don't. Because there's nowhere to send it. Not from here. And the truth is, you don't know if you're okay. You look around. Every man in the room is holding a letter. Or pretending not to. Some read theirs over and over, as if maybe this time the words will change. And say something like, "Come home now, the war is over." Someone folds his letter into a tiny square, puts it in his breast pocket, over his heart, like armour. Another tears his in half, drops it in the waste bin like it accused him of something. You wonder what his letter said, then decide it doesn't matter. The content's not the danger, it's the remembering. You lean against the wall, close your eyes, try to picture her. Not your sister, her. The one who kissed you on the platform, the one who promised she'd wait. The one whose name you haven't said out loud in 3 weeks. You wonder if she still writes, if her letters are stacked somewhere, waiting, travelling across oceans and channels and chain-of-command desks. You picture an unopened envelope, with your name on it, sitting on a desk in a harbour you might never see again. You try to imagine what she wrote, but your mind doesn't give you words. Just the shape of her mouth, saying things you'll never hear again. You return the letter to your pocket, folded once, twice. Third time makes it fit better, closer to your skin. You tell yourself you'll answer when you surface, when the mission's done, when you're somewhere with pen and paper and time. But you know the truth. Most letters from submariners never get answered. Some because they never get the chance. Some because answering means admitting that home still exists, and this place isn't it. You watch a guy tuck his letter into the pages of a manual. You ask why. He shrugs. It's good luck. You don't argue. Superstition is religion down here. Your luck's in your boot. A photo. Bent. Water-stained. Almost illegible now. But yours. You pull it out. Just for a second. Just long enough to remember who you were before your skin started smelling like oil and salt and ghosts. Then you tuck it back. Because too much remembering is dangerous. It makes the steel feel smaller. The air feel tighter. The silence feel personal. Later that night, you hear someone crying. Not loud, just soft, rhythmic. The sound of someone holding a letter, and wondering if the person who wrote it still thinks they're alive. You roll over in your rack, pull the blanket tighter, as if that'll keep the thoughts out. You think about answering. Just one line, "I'm still here," but you don't. Because some days, you're not sure if that's true. 15. And the day you forget the date. You wake up, and you don't know what day it is. Not just confused, not just groggy. You don't know. Not the weekday, not the number, not the month, not even the season. You stare at the ceiling of your rack. Try to retrace it. Try to count meals, watches, shifts, alarms. But it's no use. Down here, time doesn't pass. It folds. There are no windows, no sun, no moon. Just red bulbs and duty cycles. Just bells and footsteps and coffee that tastes like metal. The wall clock is frozen. Or maybe just lying. You've stopped trusting clocks. You climb down from your bunk. Step into the passageway. Same faces. Same sweat. Same routine. You ask someone, "What day is it?" He shrugs. "Thursday." And then adds, "Maybe Tuesday." Neither of you are convinced. Both of you move on. The XO walks past. You ask him. He says, "We're on patrol day 21. That's not a date. That's a measurement of exhaustion. You want to know if it's still April, or if April already passed. You want to know if your brother's birthday just happened without you. You want to know if it matters. You head toward the control room. The sonar man looks like he hasn't blinked in an hour. The helmsman's chewing something, might be gum, might be desperation. The captain is staring at nothing. You sit at your station. Stare at the gauges. They never change. They lie too. Your brain starts playing tricks on you. You could swear someone said it was Sunday yesterday. You could swear you had pancakes 2 mornings ago. But was that this patrol or the last? You once laughed at guys who kept calendars on the inside of their lockers, crossing off days like prisoners. You don't laugh anymore. You get it now. The mind needs something to hold on to. Some marker, some line in the sand. Because if you don't know what day it is, you start forgetting other things. Like what month you left port. Like how long you've been down here. Like whether your mother is still alive. The cook says it's the 17th. Someone else swears it's the 22nd. The radioman says he saw a dispatch that said it's May. You blink. You could have sworn it was March. And then it hits you. Time isn't just moving without you. It's leaving you behind. You've slipped out of sync. Out of calendar. Out of relevance. You're not just underwater. You're unmoored. Someone tells a joke about birthdays. Says his kid's turning 4. Probably yesterday. Everyone chuckles. But no one smiles. Later you try to write in your journal. You put the date at the top. Then stare at it. Nothing comes. You write day and move on. The journal's mostly blank anyway. You thought you'd write every day. Turn this into some kind of memory capsule. Proof that you lived through this. Instead, you scribble one line. I forgot the date. I'm forgetting myself. You close it. Stuff it in the same drawer with your toothbrush, your photos, your unused razor. Time moves up there, where people wake with the sun and sleep with the stars. Down here, you live in cycles, in bells, in shifts, in footsteps and sonar pings and breathing through dread. Someone plays a harmonica in the galley, a slow, crooked tune. Sounds like a funeral with rhythm. You sit, stare at your coffee. Think about all the days you've lost. Then you wonder, when you finally surface, and walk into daylight again. Will the date even recognise you? 16. The captain doesn't blink. You've been watching him, not because you're curious, not because you admire him, because you need to know if he's going to crack. But he doesn't. Not once. The captain sits in the command chair, one leg crossed, arms still, eyes forward, watching, listening, breathing like someone with nothing to fear. The boat groans. He doesn't flinch. Depth charges. He doesn't duck. Batteries drop to critical. He just stares at the gauge like he's willing it back to life. You wonder if he feels anything, if his stomach churns like yours, if his jaw clenches in the dark, if his prayers are silent or just absent. You've been down here for weeks, maybe months. He's been here longer. His face shows it. Lines that weren't there before patrol. Eyes that don't blink even when they should. He doesn't sleep much. Or maybe he sleeps with his eyes open. Someone once asked him how he stays so calm. He said, "I already died on my first patrol. This is just the aftermath." You don't know if that's courage or insanity. Maybe both. When decisions come, he makes them instantly. No hesitation. Change course. Silent running. Blow ballast. Dive. Each order lands like a hammer. No stutter. No second guess. And the crew obeys. Because when your boat is a coffin with options, you cling to the man who refuses to blink. You remember that one night when sonar caught something close. Real close. Everyone looked at the captain, waiting, holding their breath. He leaned forward. No panic, just whispered, "Wait for the ping." 5 seconds passed. 10, 15. The ping never came. The boat survived. Because he knew it would. Or because he was willing to go down without a ripple. Someone joked once that if the boat ever implodes, the last thing we'll see is the captain sitting in that chair, calm, still, unblinking while the ocean eats us whole. You don't laugh at that joke anymore. You wonder what he's thinking. Sometimes he stares at the periscope, even when it's retracted, like he's looking through the steel itself, trying to see the next threat, or the end, or maybe just the sky. You caught a glimpse of his hands once. They were shaking. Just for a second. He tucked them under his arms. No one else saw, but you did. Even gods tremble. They just do it when the crew's not looking. When it's quiet, when the boat is just drifting, you'll find him in the chart room. Not plotting, just sitting, eyes on the wall, like he's somewhere else, like he's back home, at a dinner table that no longer sets a place for him. Someone said he used to be a teacher. History, maybe. Or literature. Doesn't matter now. Now he teaches men how not to die. And so far, it's working. You don't talk to him unless you have to. Not because you're afraid, but because he carries the weight for all of you, and you don't want to add 1 ounce more. Still, when he speaks to you, just you, it's like being seen by something old, something carved from iron and grief. Once, during a maintenance drill, he caught you hesitating, just a beat. He didn't yell, didn't shame. He just said, "We're all afraid, but the ones who move anyway, they're the reason the boat doesn't sink." Then he walked off. No flourish, no smile. You replay that sentence in your head more than you'd like to admit. Sometimes you think the captain isn't just leading the boat. He is the boat, unbending, unyielding, unblinking. And when he finally falls, if he ever does, this place will collapse right behind him, Because down here, courage isn't loud. It's not medals or speeches. It's a man who stares at death every hour of every day and refuses to even blink. 17. Mechanical failure is just a matter of time. The boat is tired. You can feel it. Not in one moment, but in a million small ones. Squeaks that weren't there yesterday. Gauges that twitch instead of report. A pipe that groans like it's aching in its joints. It's not breaking down all at once. That would be too easy. It's decaying. You wake up to a slow drip. Not water. Oil. Dark, thick. Leaking from a valve that someone swore was fine yesterday. You wipe it. It comes back. You stop wiping. The floor plates rattle now when the boat dives. Not loud, but enough to feel it in your ankles. You start walking softer, like you're afraid your footsteps might be the thing that tips it over the edge. In the engine room, the heat is worse. Thicker. The fans cough more than they spin. The mechanic's shirt is soaked through. So is his backup. You ask him how it's going. He says, "She's holding together. Barely." He doesn't smile when he says it. You pass the battery compartment. Smell something sour. Ask about it. They say it's just venting. But no one hangs around long enough to explain what that means. One of the electrical panels near the forward bunks is buzzing now. It didn't used to. Someone stuffed cotton into the corners to stop the hum. It worked for a while. Then the cotton caught fire. Tiny. Controlled. Out in seconds. But still. Fire. Underwater. You sit down near the torpedo room. Stretch your back. Something creaks behind you. Not metal. A man. He turns to you. Says, "Did you hear that?" You nod. You both look at the bulkhead. Say nothing else. Because you both heard it. But neither of you wants to name it. The XO inspects the ballast gauges every hour now. They used to check them every 6. Now it's every 1. Sometimes every 30 minutes. The readings wobble. Pressure holds, barely. Someone scratched a tally of good dives into the wall beside the panel. It's less comforting than they hoped. The cook's oven won't stay lit. He uses a match. 1 strike. 2. 3. You start counting the seconds before it lights. On the 4th strike it roars up. Everyone in the galley freezes for a heartbeat. Then pretends it's normal. Just like everything else down here. The door to the head jams twice a day now. You have to wedge your shoulder into it. One guy got stuck inside for an hour. When they pulled him out, he didn't say anything. He just walked to his rack and stared at the ceiling for the rest of the night. The radio crackles when it shouldn't. Gives off phantom sounds. Pings. Echoes. Maybe it's the wiring. Maybe it's the ocean talking back. You'd rather not find out. You remember your first patrol. The boat felt solid. Clean. Obedient. Now it feels like an old animal. Wounded. Coughing. Limping along because it doesn't know what else to do. You know what comes next. It's never just one thing that breaks. It's a cascade. A snapped bolt here. A blown gasket there. Until one day the hull gives in, like a tired breath. You think about the wrench in your locker. The only tool you trust. You sleep with it beside you now. Just in case. Not because you think you'll fix anything, but because it's better to hold something, Russen, when the creaking starts getting personal. Someone says, it's not if, it's when. They're not talking about enemy fire. They're talking about the boat itself. Because steel corrodes, welds weaken, systems fail. And down here, every second is stolen from something that wants to fall apart. You run your hand along the bulkhead, feel the vibration, not just motion, fatigue. This boat wasn't built to last forever, neither were you. But you're both still here, rattling, sparking, dripping, together, for now. 18. Food stops tasting like food. At first you told yourself it was just the nerves, the stress, the diesel in the air, the sweating, the silence. But now, weeks in, you know the truth. Food stops tasting like food. You sit in the galley. Your tray is hot in the centre, cold on the edges. Grey beans, some kind of meat. Bread that was once bread. You stare at it. It stares back. You chew. Slowly. Automatically. Mechanically. It doesn't taste like beef. Or chicken. Or pork. It just tastes like heat and salt and regret. No one talks while eating anymore. At least not about the food. You hear forks scrape. Spoons clink. No one finishes. Everyone eats just enough. Just to stop the headache. Just to keep the lights on behind the eyes. The cook's name is Haskins. Nice guy. He used to sing while stirring the pot. Not anymore. Now he stirs in silence. Sweat rolling off his temples. Eyebrows drawn in like he's negotiating with the ingredients. You ask what's for dinner? He shrugs. Says, something warm. That's all he promises anymore. Sometimes he makes pancakes. Middle of the night. No reason. He flips them like coins. Serves them with fake syrup and a dead stare. You'd kill for syrup that isn't fake. Or for anything with colour. Everything's brown. Or beige. Or grey. Once someone found a green bean with colour. Bright. Vivid. Everyone stared at it like it was radioactive. He didn't eat it, he just stared. Then put it back on the tray. The submarine smells like sweat and diesel. The food tastes like both. Even the coffee. You pour yourself a cup. It's thick. Bitter. Burned. But it's hot. And that counts for something. You drink. Your tongue recoils. You sip again anyway. Some guys add condensed milk. Not to improve the flavour, just to mask it. You once saw someone eat dry cereal with water. No milk left. Didn't even flinch. He just crunched through it like it was gravel from a better world. No one complains out loud. Not really. Complaints don't fix flavour. They don't bring back oranges. Or fresh bread. Or the taste of your mother's roast chicken. One guy tried seasoning his beans with toothpaste. Said the mint gave it kick. He was mostly joking, but mostly. You know how many meals you've had on this boat? No, you don't. You've stopped counting. Because it's all the same. Some mix of starch and protein and memory loss. Some version of hunger and disappointment. You dream of butter. Not just the taste, the sound it makes melting in a pan. That quiet sizzle. That civilized sound. You'd trade a month of rations for one crisp apple. Cold. Juicy. Clean. Something that doesn't come out of a can. But all you get is rehydrated potatoes. Again, and again, and again. You ask yourself, is it better to eat and feel nothing? Or to taste something terrible and at least feel alive? You're not sure anymore. Your body's still running, but you can feel the edge. You feel it when your hands tremble during watch, when your stomach knots for no reason, when your teeth ache in the cold spots. You're still eating, but not feeding. The men go quiet after meals, not full, just done. Someone pushes their tray away, wipes their mouth, leans back like they just swallowed a piece of the boat itself. You look down at your plate, half-eaten, steam fading. You finish it, not because it tastes good, not because you want it, but because that's what you do. Because the body still needs fuel, even when the soul is starving. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you wonder, if you ever get home, will real food still taste real? Or will everything taste like this place? Salt, steel, silence. 19. You stop dreaming in colour. You didn't notice it at first. The dreams. They were there, sure. Short, foggy, clipped. But there. You used to dream about the sky. About fields. About her. She had a red scarf. Or maybe it was blue. You don't remember anymore. Because now, you don't dream in colour. You lie in your rack. Hands on your chest. Eyes closed. Sleep comes fast down here. Not rest. Just black. You slide into it like diving beneath oil. Thick. Heavy. Featureless. When the dreams come, they're grey. Muted. Bleached. You walk through houses with the blank walls. Look out windows onto white streets. You try to shout, but there's no sound. No voices. No birds. No music. Once you dreamed of a flower. A single daisy. You picked it up. The petals were grey. When you touched them, they crumbled. Another time you dreamed of food. A table. Full. But you couldn't taste anything. Your mouth was full of cotton. You chewed and nothing happened. It's the boat. You know it is. It's leaking into your head. Into your dreams. Into the part of you that's supposed to be free. Even sleep isn't yours anymore. You asked someone if they still dream. He said, only of drowning. Then rolled over and didn't say anything else. You're not sure if he meant it metaphorically. You try to remember the last dream you had in colour. Maybe it was a beach. Maybe it was her face. Maybe it was you before all this. You wake up sometimes with tears on your cheek. No idea why. Not sadness. Just leakage. Like your brain can't hold everything in anymore. The boat rocks gently. The creaks and hisses and pulses of the machinery surround you. You fall asleep to it. You dream to it. And every dream starts with silence and ends with a door that won't open. The worst part? You don't miss the colour anymore. That's how deep it's gone. You've stopped expecting brightness. Stopped hoping for it. You've accepted grayscale as truth. You imagine a painting. Once vivid, now left in the rain for too long. All the colours wash down the drain. What's left is a smear of shapes and shadows. That's you now. That's what lives in your head. You hear a man talking in his sleep. A child's name. A place. His voice cracks, like the words are hurting him on the way out. Then he goes quiet. The guy across from you dreams with his eyes open, stares at the ceiling, mouth slightly open. You asked him what he sees. He says, fog. That's it. Just fog. You once tried to force a memory before sleep. A field of sunflowers, big, golden, stretching to the horizon. You used to walk through them with your sister. You clenched your eyes, built the image, held it tight. But when the dream came, it was just stalks, pale, limp. Just grey leaves, swaying in wind that didn't exist. You don't try anymore. You wake up now and expect nothing. No image, no echo. Just a pause in time, a void. And sometimes that's preferable. Because colour brings memory. Memory brings longing. And longing doesn't survive well at depth. You sit up, rub your eyes. Another watch starts. Same boots, same hatch, same passageway. You don't check the mirror. You know what you'll see. A face faded just like the dreams. You grab your cup, fill it with coffee. Even that's grey now. You drink, bitter, lukewarm. And you think maybe it's better this way. Maybe, just maybe, the dreams are trying to protect you from remembering too much light. 20. Everything sweats. Even the walls. It starts when your back sticks to the rack. You shift. The sheet peels off you with a slow, wet sound. Your shirt clings like a second skin, but worse, because it wasn't invited. You swing your legs down. The floor is damp, not flooded, just wet, like the steel itself is sweating. And it is, because everything in this boat is sweating. You rub your palm against the wall. Condensation. Cool, thin, but constant. The pipes drip. The valves hiss with heat. The engine room could cook an egg, if you had eggs, or patience. You pass a bulkhead. It's warm to the touch. Too warm. Your skin tingles afterward. Not from pain, from warning. You ask someone if it's supposed to be that hot. They shrug. What isn't? The fans run all day, barely helping. Just moving thick air from one end of the coffin to the other. Like pushing soup through a straw. You sit in the galley. Your shirt collar is damp. You sip lukewarm water from a tin cup. It tastes like rust and body heat. The cook fans himself with a tray, his hair plastered to his scalp. You can see his pulse in his temple. Tick, tick, tick. He doesn't even notice it anymore. The guy across from you has a rash, neck to collarbone. Red, wet, angry. He scratches. You look away, because watching him makes your own skin itch. You head back down the passage. Every surface is sweating, not leaking, not broken, just resigned. The boat is alive, hot-blooded, pulsing, breathing through the vents like a tired animal. And when it exhales, the air fogs your glasses. Your eyes sting. You wipe your face with a sleeve already soaked with effort. Sleep doesn't help. Not in this heat. You lie still. Try not to move. Try not to touch yourself. Even the friction of existing feels too much. The guy in the bunk above you groans, turns over. His bare arm sticks to the frame with a thwip. No one complains. Not anymore. There's nothing new to say. You hot? Yeah. End of conversation. The XO called it tropical discomfort. He smiled when he said it. No one smiled back. You pass the torpedo room. It's cooler there. Just a little. Just enough to make men sleep beside warheads, because they're less dangerous than the engine room. You go there sometimes. Lie down on the floor. Let the chill from the steel sink in. Let it numb the itch, the sweat, the boil under your ribs. It only works for a few minutes. Then you start sweating again. Someone says, "This isn't weather. This is punishment." They're not wrong. Your socks are damp. You haven't changed them in 3 days. You're afraid to. Because they might be the only thing keeping your skin from peeling off. You find a towel. Use it like a mop. Face, neck, arms. It's soaked in under an hour. There's mould now, growing in corners. Sneaky. Dark. stinks like rotten vinegar. The medic keeps powder in his pocket, sprinkles it like fairy dust and sheets, boots, armpits. Doesn't work. He shrugs, says, just trying to slow the decay. He means it. One guy fainted last week. Just collapsed during watch. No warning. Body just gave up. They poured water on him, slapped him awake, put him back on duty. No one blamed him. No one talked about it again. You're sweating even when you sit still. Even when you're naked in your bunk, curtain open, arms spread like you're trying to evaporate yourself. You think about the ocean outside. Cold. Endless. Merciless. You think about cracking a pipe, letting it rush in. Not to die, just to cool off. But you don't. Because that's how madness starts. And the heat wants you mad. Wants you itching and twitching and whispering to yourself. You won't give it that. So you sit. And you sweat. And you blink at the metal walls sweating back at you. And you wait. For relief. For cold. For a depth that's just a few degrees kinder. Or maybe just for anything that doesn't stick to your skin. 21. The dive you almost didn't come back from. It started like any other dive. Orders came down. A ship spotted on the surface. Possibly hostile. Possibly curious. Dive. Take her deep. You knew the routine. You didn't think. You moved. You sealed the hatches. You braced your feet. You felt the boat tilt, then sink, then disappear from the world above. Same as always, but this time something went wrong. You felt it first, in your gut. That drop that wasn't quite right. Too sharp, too steep, too fast. Then you heard it, a bang. Not metal on metal, not the usual groan of pressure. Something wrong. The kind of wrong that doesn't come with a label. The kind that makes men stop talking mid-sentence. The XO shouted something. You didn't hear it. You just saw mouths moving. Hands moving faster. The boat was sinking. Not diving. Sinking. The planes weren't adjusting. The trim was off. Too heavy aft. You heard someone yell. Ballast control's not responding. You felt it in your knees. The angle. The tilt. Like the floor was trying to throw you backward. Alarms didn't sound. There wasn't time. The helmsman gripped the controls like a crucifix. His knuckles white. His teeth clenched. You held onto a pipe. Felt it vibrating. Not normal. Not friendly. Like the boat was trying to tell you this might be it. Someone hit emergency blow. You watched the lever get yanked. Nothing. Silence. Then a hiss. Too soft. Too slow. Too late. Your ears popped. Your stomach flipped. The depth gauge spun de sus like it was chasing its own tail. 300 feet. 350. 400. You saw the captain. Still calm. Still not blinking. But his hand gripped the back of the chair like it was the only solid thing left in the universe. You tried to breathe slow. Focus. Count. But your thoughts were slamming into each other like they were trapped in a steel drum, sinking with you. Someone shouted, "Hull stress increasing!" The creaks turned into groans. The kind that don't feel mechanical. The kind that feel personal. You thought of pressure as like a fist around a soda can. You thought of it crumpling, cracking, folding you in half before you could even scream. You thought of home. You thought of your sister, your dog, the girl who kissed you goodbye without meaning to cry, but did anyway. Then something changed. A cough from the pipes, a lurch, a shift in the angle. The boat stabilised. Not level, but slowing. The compressed air finally hit the tanks. Emergency blow kicked in. You heard the deep boom of air slamming into the ballast tanks, felt it in your chest, like being punched by God. The boat shuddered, then rose. Slow, shaky, alive. Nobody cheered. Nobody spoke. The silence wasn't relief. It was recovery. Everyone sat back, hands shaking, hearts trying to catch up. You looked at the depth gauge. 275. 250. Up. Still up. You wiped your forehead. Didn't realise you were soaked. Not sweat. Condensation. Panic made physical. Later someone joked, "Guess the boat just wanted to see how deep we could go." Nobody laughed. The XO walked past. Gave you a pat on the shoulder. Didn't say anything. Didn't need to. That night, no one slept. Even off-duty guys sat up in their bunks, staring at the ceiling, or the floor, or nowhere. You opened your locker, pulled out a pencil, wrote one line in your notebook. "We came back, but part of me stayed down there." You closed it, put it away, didn't open it again for 3 days. And every time the boat creaked after that, you flinched. Because now you knew what it really sounds like when she almost breaks. 22. Sound is a weapon. It's not the bombs that get you. Not the pressure. Not the depth. Not the darkness. It's the sound. Down here, sound isn't noise. It's violence. It's threat. It's the only language left between you and death. You learn quickly. You don't drop tools. You place them. You don't slam hatches. You guide them closed like you're tucking in a child. You don't speak unless you need to. And when you do, it's a whisper, or a look, or nothing at all. Because sound travels underwater, better than in air, faster, clearer. Every clink, every cough, every creaking goes out like a flare, announcing your position to whoever is listening, and someone is always listening. You remember the first time the sonar man put his headset on and said, "They're pinging us." That sound, a high-pitched ping that echoed through your ribs, wasn't just a signal. It was a sentence. They'd found you. Now they were deciding what to do. You all froze. Even your blood seemed to stop moving. Because one noise from you, just one, could bring the charges. The helmsman didn't blink. The engineer didn't breathe. You didn't even swallow. Because sound isn't just what you hear down here. It's what you become. You're always making it. Always betraying yourself. Your heartbeat. Your boots. Your stomach growling. Your rack creaking in the night. The boat is full of it. Full of men trying not to be heard. Silent running isn't a tactic. It's a religion. You give yourself to silence like a monk gives himself to God. Completely. With reverence. With fear. Because the ocean is not empty. It's listening. Every minute. Every meter. Every mile. You once heard a destroyer's propeller thumping overhead. Slow. Deliberate. Searching. You could hear every blade turning. Could feel the engine in your bones. You imagine the men on deck, binoculars in hand, depth chargers ready, just waiting for a noise. Any noise. Someone coughed once. A sharp, dry hack. He tried to hold it back, but it slipped out. The sonar man flinched. Then the ping came again. Short. Closer. The captain's knuckles whitened on the chart table. No words, no blame, just waiting. The charges didn't fall that time, but the message was clear. They heard us. You spend your days listening for their sounds. You learn to tell destroyers from freighters, fast screws from slow churn. You start hearing patterns in the white noise, rhythms, warnings, and sometimes your own mind becomes noisy. You think you hear things, voices, laughter, a knock from somewhere that can't have a knock. You sit up in your bunk, listen. Nothing. Or maybe everything. You once held your ear to the hull, felt it breathing, the metal shifting, water pressing. It's not imagination. It's pressure made audible. And it's constant. You don't sleep through it. You withstand it. One guy broke down during watch. Said the whispering wouldn't stop. Said he heard tapping from the other side of the hull. Like someone's inside the ocean, he said, calling us. They relieved him. Put him in a dark corner, gave him water. No one told him he was wrong. Because sound lies, and sometimes it doesn't. You tap pipes twice before walking past. Superstition, or maybe warning. To the boat, to whatever's listening. You learn to communicate with eyes. A nod, a breath, a twitch of a hand. Because when sound is a weapon, silence is your only shield. You don't slam anything. You don't sneeze. You pray your stomach doesn't growl during patrol. And when someone drops a wrench, when it clangs off the deck and rings out like a bell in a mausoleum, everyone freezes. Not because they're angry, because they're scared. And the next 5 seconds are the longest 5 seconds of your life. Then the sonar guy shakes his head. No response. You exhale. But now you're watching that guy. The one who dropped the wrench. And he knows it. Because sound gets remembered down here. Logged. Stored. Feared. It's not about noise discipline. It's about survival. So you move like smoke. You breathe like dust. And you carry the silence like a shield made of glass. Because the moment it breaks, the moment it shatters, the ocean stops listening and starts responding. 23. You forget what the sky looks like. It doesn't happen all at once. You don't wake up one day and say, I've forgotten the sky. So it slips away, a little each day, like steam through a crack, like a name you can't quite place. At first it's just a detail. You can't remember the exact colour of a sunset. Was it orange? Red? Both? Then it's the shape of the clouds. Were they flat, puffy? Did they move slow? Fast? Then it's the stars. You used to know constellations. Or maybe just made up names you gave them as a kid. Now? They're just pinpricks in a ceiling you haven't seen in weeks. Maybe months. You're underwater. And the ocean doesn't let you look up. The periscope is your only window. But you're not the one looking through it. Not usually. Not anymore. You ask the captain one day, clear skies? He doesn't answer. Just shrugs. Like it doesn't matter. And maybe it doesn't. Because your world knows it's measured in metal, in depth, in distance from daylight. You walk down the passage. Everything's lit red or dim yellow. Not enough to read. Not enough to feel real. Just enough to stop your brain from losing track completely. But it doesn't work. Not always. You lie in your rack and try to picture it. Sky. Blue. You think of the word, but the image doesn't come. You try, But what comes instead is the ceiling of the sub. Rivets. Condensation. Pipes. Not clouds. Not birds. Not light. Just steel. Someone says they saw lightning last time they surfaced. You ask what it looked like. He says, like the ocean tried to remember how to scream. You nod. You don't know what that means, but somehow you do. You pass the time trying to remember the feel of sky. Not just the look, but the wind, the warmth, the smell of open space. But the boat has infected your senses. Now everything smells like oil and sweat. Sounds like fans and breath. Feels like recycled air and pressure and skin. You try to write it down. Describe the sky in your notebook. You get as far as, it was big. And stop. That's all you have left. One guy tapes a postcard above his bunk. Picture of a mountain. Sky above it. Unreal blue. You stare at it sometimes. Try to absorb it. But the colours look fake now. Too clean. Too still. Like it belongs to another life. Someone else's life. Someone who still knows what it feels like to squint at the sun. You used to hate the sun. The heat. The burn on your neck. Now you'd trade your whole next watch just to feel it one more time, even for a second. You hear guys whisper sometimes, not prayers, just memories. Remember storms? Remember shade trees? Remember the way the clouds stretched out like a ceiling you could almost touch? You don't join in, because you don't want to find out just how much you've really forgotten. You just lie there, eyes open, staring at a surface that's not there, and wonder if you make it out of here. If you stand on solid ground again, if you look up, will you even recognize it? Or will the sky feel like a story someone told you a long, long time ago? 24. You start to smell like the boat. It happens slow. First, it's your clothes. They hold onto the diesel, the grease, the damp air that never dries. Then it's your sheets. You crawl into them at night, and they don't smell like you. They smell like here, like metal, like other men's skin. And then, one day, you take off your shirt, rub your arm, breathe in, and it hits you. You smell like the boat, not just your uniform, not just your boots. You, your skin, your scalp, the insides of your ears. You've absorbed it. You try to remember what you used to smell like. Soap, grass, leather, whatever it was, it's gone. Replaced with something that clings to your bones. It's not just sweat. Sweat washes off. This is something else. Something deeper. A mix of oil, mildew and breath. Stale coffee. Worn rubber. Battery acid and canned meat. You scrub harder. The sinks are tiny. The water's tepid. You get 5 minutes if you're lucky. You lather up. Twice. 3 times. Still there. You towel off. The towel smells like it too. You put on a fresh shirt. Still there. You breathe in. Try to find anything clean in the air. Nothing. The ventilation hums softly overhead, pumping recycled air through recycled lungs. Every breath a loop. Back through the system, through filters, through ducts, through people. You're breathing each other, and now you're wearing it. Inside, outside, all over. You sit in the galley. The steam from the food rises. Even that smells like the boat now. Not chicken, not stew, just steam and steel. The guy across from you wipes his face with his sleeve, then sniffs his arm. You see it in his eyes. He knows too. He smells like here. No one says anything about it, because no one wants to be the first to admit you've become part of the machine. You can't air anything out. There's no wind, no sun, no space. Clothes don't dry. They just marinate. Boots never stop being damp. Your socks fuse with your feet. Your bunk becomes the cocoon of exhaustion and old sweat. The medic keeps a bottle of alcohol wipes. You try one, wipe down your arms. It stings. The cloth comes away dark, like you're sloughing off a layer of boat. You smell it. Still there. Still you. Still it. Think about scent, how it's tied to memory. You remember your mother's perfume, gasoline on your dad's hands, fresh-cut grass. They all feel fictional now. You try to recall what she smelled like the girl from back home. Was it soap? Shampoo? Apples? You don't know. Your brain only holds one smell now, and it's this. All of this. Trapped air and tired men and walls that exhale. You wonder if you ever go home, and she wraps her arms around you. Will she pull away? Will she wrinkle her nose? Say, you smell like something I don't understand, because you won't understand it. Not anymore. It's not a smell. It's an identity. You're not a man. You're submarine scented, pressed into your skin, into your hair, into your teeth. You brush them twice a day. Doesn't matter. You still wake up with the taste of brine and breath. You still walk past the torpedo room and smell oil leaking from a bolt near the floor. You still sleep with your arms tucked in, trying to keep the damp off your chest. But the boat always wins. And one day you realize you've stopped noticing. Not because it's gone, because it's you now. You walk past a mirror, glance at your reflection, and for a second you wonder if the steel walls are looking back. 25. When a man snaps, it's quiet. It's not how they show you in movies. No yelling, no wide eyes, no screaming fits. When a man snaps on a submarine, it doesn't echo. It doesn't shout. It whispers. And you only notice because something feels off. You walk past him. He's sitting in the galley, soup untouched, staring through the metal, breathing but shallow, eyes fixed but unfocused. He's still there technically, but something behind his eyes has stepped out. You double take, not because he looks dangerous, because he looks gone. Like he's not hearing the creaks anymore, not feeling the sweat, not registering the vibration in the floor. You nudge the guy next to you. He sees it too. The quiet kind of broken. No one says the word, but it hangs in the air. Cracked. You've seen it before. Not often, not publicly, because down here you keep it together. That's the deal. Everyone pretends we're okay, so we stay okay. But every now and then, someone doesn't. Maybe it's the pressure. Maybe it's the silence. Maybe it's the dreams that won't leave you alone. Maybe it's the moment you forget your own name. Whatever it is, when it happens, it's subtle. They stop shaving, stop eating. They talk too fast, or not at all. They get stuck in loops. Wipe the same part of the bench for 20 minutes. Tie and untie their boots. Once a man asked the same question 3 times in 10 minutes. What day is it? You told him. He nodded. Then asked again, and again. Someone finally answered. It's Tuesday. Forever. And walked away. That man didn't laugh. Just blinked. Then stared at the floor for the rest of his shift. You remember your training. They told you what to watch for. But books don't prepare you for the look in someone's eyes when they stop trying. Not angry, not sad, just done. They say pressure breaks metal, but first it breaks minds. No cracks on the surface, just slow fractures, deep inside, where no one sees. You try to talk to the guy. He answers, but it's like talking to a voicemail. His words feel pre-recorded, just enough to get through the moment. The medic checks in. Doesn't push. No one does. We don't have shrinks down here. We don't have space for that. We just wait and watch and hope. Hope that he sleeps. Hope that he wakes up different. Hope that whatever part of him slipped out finds its way back in. But you know it rarely does. Sometimes he stays like that for days. Functional. Fragile. Like a man walking a high wire across a minefield. And sometimes he gets better. Snaps back. Like the switch flips again. And he's in the galley making coffee, laughing at a dumb joke, telling a story about home that doesn't sound made up. But other times, the snapping doesn't end. It gets quieter, deeper. He stops talking, stops sleeping, starts writing things that don't make sense. You caught a glimpse once, a page in someone's notebook. Just the words. No sun, no sky, no surface, no self. Over and over. Small. Careful. Like a mantra for losing your grip. They moved that guy to a private rack. Called it rest. He never came back to watch. Eventually he left the boat. Medical evac. No one asked what happened. We just cleaned his bunk and didn't talk about the smell. Because the truth is, you can go crazy down here. You can lose pieces of yourself. And when it happens, you don't go out screaming. You go out silent. You sit at your station. Feel the hum of the boat. Listen to the others breathing around you. And you pray not for depth charges to miss. Not for the hull to hold, but that your own mind stays whole. Because the worst kind of drowning doesn't need water. 26. The ocean doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care that you were a quarterback in high school. It doesn't care if you graduated top of your class, or if you barely scraped through. The ocean doesn't care who loved you, who waited for you, who still writes your name on envelopes once a month. It doesn't care what kind of man you were on land. Tough, gentle, funny, smart. Down here, you'll just wait. Just heat. Just one more heart, air, beating inside a steel shell, slowly sinking beneath a world that will never remember your name. You watch the waves on sonar, not water reflections, distortions, tricks of pressure and temperature. The ocean doesn't announce itself. It surrounds you, covers you like a coffin with no lid. You lie in your bunk, can't sleep, again. You listen to the creaks in the hull, the whispers in the pipe, and you remember, this place doesn't know you, and worse, it doesn't care to. The sea is not your enemy. Enemies can be understood, anticipated, named. The ocean is indifference made infinite. It doesn't rage. It doesn't plot. It doesn't wait to kill you. It just exists. And you exist inside it, barely. You think back to stories, sailors and explorers, legends of Poseidon, waves that swallowed fleets whole. You used to think those stories were about fear. They weren't. They were about truth. The quiet, unblinking kind. Because when you sit at the edge of the world and the world doesn't look back, you realize you're not a hero. You're not even a number. You're nothing to the ocean. It will drown you with the same carelessness it offers a drifting bottle or a broken buoy. One man here used to be a minister. He stopped praying in week 2, not out of anger, but because he didn't know where to send the words. Another guy used to write poems. Now he just stares at the walls, like he's trying to find a sentence in the steel. You want to scream sometimes, not out of panic, out of protest, as if shouting your name might force the water to acknowledge you. But it won't. It never does. The ocean doesn't care if you're scared. It doesn't care if your oxygen is low, if your reactor fails, if your torpedoes misfire. The ocean doesn't choose favourites. It doesn't hate you. It just doesn't notice you're here. And somehow that's worse. Because you weren't built for this. You were built for sun, for gravity, for trees and doorways and sidewalks and dinner tables. Not for drifting in a steel tomb, hoping the pressure doesn't win today. You see the captain staring at the map. No expression. No certainty. Just dots. Dots on a sea that doesn't care where they go. You put your hands on the bulkhead. Feel it hum. Not with life. With survival. You breathe in. Taste the air. It's dry. Filtered. Recycled. Still you hold it. Because for 1 second you want to feel like you matter. Then you let it go. And the boat keeps moving. The sea keeps pressing. And you vanish a little more into it. Not with a bang. Not with glory. Just another man, forgotten by something too big to ever remember. Your face. 27. The radio brings news from a world that forgot you. It crackles to life like a ghost trying to whisper. A burst of static, then silence, then words. Not orders, not sonar, not depth charge in the water, just news from home. And it hits harder than the pressure. Someone's voice, smooth and practiced, reading headlines like they still matter. An election, a baseball score, a heatwave in Kansas, a royal visit, a bridge collapse. You sit in the passageway, eyes closed, trying to picture any of it, but you can't. Because the world they're talking about doesn't sound like yours. It sounds like a memory someone else had. You listen harder, as if one of the headlines might be about your town, your street, your people, but they're not. And you know they won't be. You've been gone too long, and the world doesn't wait for men inside metal tubes. You hear a commercial, cereal, jingles, a bright voice saying something about sunshine and family. Someone in the galley laughs, not because it's funny, because it's absurd. Sunshine? Down here, light means the red glow of a control panel thing or the flicker of a broken galley bulb. Family is 6 men breathing the same air in a room the size of a bathroom. The radio keeps talking like it doesn't know you're listening from a graveyard beneath the sea. You catch a name, a town, maybe even your town. You sit up, focus, but the signal stutters, cuts out, replaced with static, gone. You don't hear it again. You stare at the wall for a minute, let the silence settle. Someone walks past, says, "Anything good?" You shrug, lie. Not really. Because even if it was, you're not sure you could have handled it. Sometimes the worst pain is being remembered too little. Other times, being remembered exactly enough to hurt. You think of her, the girl who said she'd write. She did, once, maybe twice. Now, nothing. Maybe she moved on. Maybe she's waiting. Either way, She's part of that other world now. The one that smells like grass and sky. The one where time doesn't stretch, or loop, or feel like drowning in repetition. You wonder if your house looks the same, if your dog still barks at the mailman, if your little brother still wears your old jacket when it's cold out. The radio won't tell you. It's not that kind of friend. It gives you headlines, not names, not letters, not answers. You hear music next. Swing. Upbeat. Cheerful. Someone taps a toe, then stops, because dancing down here feels like blasphemy. You turn away, let the static fade. Walk back toward your station. Back to now. Back to this. Because the radio is a window, but windows don't open in a submarine. You can look. You can listen. But you can't go through. The world keeps spinning, and it doesn't know where you are, or who you are. It's not cruel. It's just busy. Too busy to miss you. Too distant to care. You go back to your bunk, lie down, and try to remember the last time you heard the news, and it felt like it belonged to you. You can't. So you close your eyes and pretend the radio never spoke. 28. Surfacing isn't freedom. You hear the command before you feel it. Prepare to surface. No one cheers. No one even smiles. You've been here long enough to know coming up doesn't mean getting out. It just means not being as deep. You hold onto a pipe as the pitch of the boat changes, a subtle rise. Your body shifts before your brain catches up. Someone announces the depth. The number gets smaller. 50 feet, 40, 30. You feel it in your bones. The pressure lifting, just slightly. The boat groans with it, like it's been holding its breath, and still isn't ready to exhale. The periscope goes up. The captain watches. He doesn't say what he sees. You imagine the surface. Not the reality of it, but the idea of it. Sunlight, salt spray, air that hasn't been inside 50 men first. You picture it like a dream you had years ago and never fully woke from. Then you break through. You hear it. The shift in silence. The air in the ducts goes cool. Not cold, just not boiled. You're told you can open the air intake. Fresh air. That phrase doesn't mean what it used to. It's still heavy, still metallic, still tinged with oil and breath and confinement. But there's something in it, a hint of outside, a ghost of wind, like air with intention. You stand by a hatch. The officer says you can go topside. Just a few of you, just for a minute. You climb the ladder like it might vanish beneath you. Every rung a question mark, every breath a negotiation. Then your head crests the tower, and there it is. Sky. Wide. Grey. Clouded. No sunshine. No birds. But it's there. And for a moment, you forget how to blink. You feel the wind hit your face. It's cold. Not pleasant. Not gentle. But it's real. You inhale like you're trying to drink it. Like it's something rare and vanishing. You scan the horizon. Nothing. Just water. Endless and flat. The same ocean that nearly crushed you yesterday, now lays still. It doesn't welcome you. It just allows you for now. You look up. No stars. No sun. Just sky. And you remember freedom isn't about where you are. It's about where you're not. And you're still not home. You're not off this boat. You're not done. You're just less submerged. The air stings your nose. You don't mind. Someone beside you mutters, "I thought I'd feel something." You know what he means. Because this doesn't feel like victory, or relief, or escape. It feels like borrowing time. You stand there longer than you should, eyes locked on a distant line where sky meets sea. It looks like a promise, but you know better. That line is a lie. There's no edge out here, no exit. Just more water and the weight of going back down, because soon the hatch will close, the lights will dim, and everything above will fade again. You descend the ladder, step back into the heat, the noise, the routine. You pass the guy wiping oil off a valve, the cook swearing about the bread again, the sonar man tapping his headset like it's lying to him. You sit in your usual place. You breathe in, and this time it almost tastes like freedom. Almost, but not quite. Because surfacing isn't release. It's permission to keep going. 29. You dream about being a civilian. It starts small. You see a chair, a real one. Cushioned, wooden, still. Not bolted down, not narrow, not wrapped in canvas or reeking of sweat. Just a chair. In a room, with sunlight slanting through the window. And in that dream, you sit. You don't have to brace for a dive. You don't have to check the air quality. You don't have to listen for the hull whispering death. You just sit and breathe, like it's something you were always allowed to do. Then the dream grows. You're walking down a street, shoes clean, air real, no helmets, no pressure gauges, no orders. People pass you and don't glance sideways. They don't ask for clearance. They don't call you mate or chief or sir. They call you nothing, because they don't know you, because you're no one. And you realise you miss that. You miss being no one. You wake up in your rack, red light glowing, sweat in your collar, fan clicking like it's chewing rocks. You blink, and the dream falls apart. Back to steel, back to silence, back to this. You rub your face. Your beard's growing and patchy. Can't shave right in this light. Can't sleep right either. Not really. But when you do, you go back to those dreams, the civilian ones. You're buying bread, driving a car, arguing about taxes, scraping ice off a windshield. God, even that feels holy now. Cold fingers, frost in your nose, a reason to curse that has nothing to do with depth. In the mess hall, you overhear two guys. One says, "When I get out, I'm going to open a diner." The other nods. "I'm going to forget this ever happened." You don't say anything, because you know you won't forget. Not really, not ever. You might walk free one day, but your mind will still drift back into the black. To the hum, to the sweat, to the sound of water trying to press in. But for now, you let yourself dream. You dream of standing in line at a coffee shop. No uniform, no salutes, no emergency drills. You order something with too much cream, too much sugar. You sit. You sip. No alarms. You dream of walking through a grocery store. Every item not powdered, not canned, not counted down to the last bite. You see a tomato. Red, round, cold. You pick it up and hold it to your cheek, like it's the most beautiful thing you've ever felt. You dream of grass, of mud, of dirty jeans and thunder in the distance. Not sonar pings, not periscope reports, just weather natural, uncontrollable, alive. And in these dreams, you're not trapped, you're not watched, not graded, not listed by rank or duty or hours since last sleep. You're just a man, unremarkable, forgettable, free. And that's the sweetest part. Not the coffee, not the sunlight, not the silence, but the freedom to be nothing. You dream about it like a starving man dreams of bread. And then you wake up, and the boat groans, and someone coughs, and the dream's already fading, but you hold on to the feeling for just a second. Because maybe you'll get to be a nobody again someday, and you'll sit in that chair, by that window, and remember what it felt like to be buried alive and still breathing. 30. You're not the same when you leave if you leave. They told you this would change you, but they never said how. They never said you'd come back to land and feel more lost than you did 300 feet beneath the waves. They never said the silence of a room and you would feel louder than the drone of the engines. They never said that eye contact would feel too much, that a hug would feel alien, that a dinner table full of voices would make you want to crawl into a drainpipe and hide. But it does, because you're not the same. You walk slower, speak less, scan crowds like there's a periscope in your head. You still sleep light, one noise away from snapping awake and checking for leaks. You still catch yourself listening for shrill alarms, for depth pings, for the hiss of air tanks. But it's quiet. Too quiet. And that should be comforting. But it's not. You try to tell people what it was like. But how do you explain routine survival? How do you explain waking up unsure if you'd be crushed today? How do you explain breathing air that had already been through 20 lungs? How do you explain sweating in your sleep because the steel never cooled down? You don't. You just say, "It was rough." And leave it at that. They nod. Say, "Thank you for your service." Offer you a beer. You sip it, pretending it tastes normal. But it doesn't. Because your taste buds are still stuck on diesel and canned beans. Because everything still smells like steel. Even now. You go home. They throw you a party. Everyone talks too loud. You smile too tight. They hand you a plate. You take it with both hands like it might fall through the floor. You sit in your old room. Posters still on the wall. Nothing's changed. Except you. You stare at the ceiling and realize you haven't looked at a ceiling without rivets in 6 months. It feels wrong. Too smooth. Too clean. You step outside. Breathe real air. Wind, grass, smog, life. It tastes like freedom, but also like loss. Because down there you belonged. Not to yourself, but to something. A system. A team. A fight. Now, you're just another man with a grocery list, and too much time. You wake up some nights expecting the sound of fans, of footsteps in boots, of someone whispering from the next rack over. But there's nothing. Just you, and the room, and the wide empty silence of peace. And you miss it. God help you, you miss it. You miss the pressure, the clarity, the way the mission narrowed your world down to a single breath, a single bolt, a single second that mattered. Because up here, nothing feels urgent. Everything is optional. And you're not used to that. You're not the same. You don't laugh the same. Don't sleep the same. Don't love the same. And if someone asks you what you did on that submarine, what it cost you, you won't answer. Not fully, because they wouldn't understand. And you wouldn't want them to. Because the truth is, you did leave the boat. But the boat didn't leave you. It's still there. Inside you. Pressed into the walls of your mind. Groaning softly in the background. And it always will be.